EL Reports is brought to you by Heritage Bank.
The headlines. Etisalat Prize for Literature Award holds in Lagos as International Criminal Court throws out charges of post-election violence against Kenya's Deputy President William Ruto. Michelle Obama hosts last garden planting at White House, and U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry defends Russia's efforts in ending hostilities in the Middle East. In sports, former NBA player Yao Ming hopes to establish Hall of Fame for China's sports stars. Today on EL Reports.
Hello everyone and welcome to the start of a wonderful week with EL Reports. We're inviting you to a week full of progressive Pan-African news as we share stuff that will help you see Africa's potential and how you can be a part of it. That is what this show is all about. Now let's kick off this great week with this great day with the news of the day.
EL Reports is very excited by all the wonderful things happening on the African literary scene in recent years. From adaptation of African books into blockbuster films to the global recognition of African literary eggheads, the world is indeed getting familiar with African literature. In recent weeks, there has been quite a buzz about two really great events on the scene. One is the UK launch of Cassava Republic Press, one of Africa's leading publishing houses. The other, as you might have guessed, is the Etisalat Prize for Literature Award, the biggest and most prestigious literary award on the African continent. If you missed the event, this is the perfect event for a Flashback Monday.
No, I could get broken.
Mama, you're beautiful.
We're here to celebrate a tremendous wealth of literary talents, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa as a whole. And as has been mentioned, this Etisalat Prize is the first ever Pan-African prize that celebrates first-time published writers of fiction books. And we're in our third year. It was launched originally in 2013.
Then the prizes. Nigerian writer Modupe Kuti smiled home with a cash prize of £1,000 after winning the 2015 Etisalat Prize for Literature in the flash fiction category, and the winning novel for this edition of the awards. Originally written in French by DR Congo-born poet and novelist Fiston Mwanza Mujila, Tram 83 revolves around the life of an idealistic writer sucked into the dystopian world of his gangster friend who reigns supreme in the debauched nightlife of a secessionist city. Tram 83 was later translated into English by Roland Glasser and published by Deep Vellum. It is the first novel by a DR Congo writer to be translated into English in over 2 decades. Fiston Mwanza Mujila had previously received several awards, including the gold medal at the 6th Jeu de la Francophone in Beirut, as well as the best text for theatre in 2010. The award comes with a very impressive £15,000 cash prize, an engraved Mont Blanc Meisterstock, and an iPhone 6s. Judges at the International Criminal Court recently threw out charges of post-election violence against Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto. In a complex ruling, the judges declared that there was no case for Ruto and his co-accused Joshua Sang to answer. Speaking at the news briefing in Nairobi, Kenya's post-election victims' lawyer, Wilfred Nderitu, said that the court's ruling came as a disappointment to his client. However, the absence of an acquittal in the Ruto and Sang cases means the ICC is free to bring fresh charges in future.
It's a decision that we must respect. Of course, there is no doubt that it will come as a disappointment to victims. But it is my hope, if not for anything else, just to ensure that the highest authority at the court has dealt with this. It is my hope that there will be an appeal by the prosecutor.
Some residents of the capital expressed their happiness at acquittal. Stephen Gitao said, "We don't want anything else. We should be given a holiday tomorrow. The whole of tomorrow we should celebrate. We should not go to work. The president should announce today that tomorrow is a holiday and can even continue for the whole week because we are very happy. Even my heart is bursting with joy. We are very happy."
We throw throwback to the words of Nana Kofi Akwa, photographer and very reluctant feminist. He says, "I have only one concern. I want women to be treated better. I want them to get their fair share of society's cake."
Guys, we have to take a quick break now, but when we get back, we'll share with you what's happening in the sports world. We'll give you a little inspiration with change makers, discuss opinions on word on the street. Basically, I'm saying there's lots more to come, so don't go anywhere. And guys, let's check out what's happening now in the world of sports across the continent. You know, I love saying that, the world of sports across the continent. Anyway, after that, we'll find out another one of our wonderful change makers. These are people who are making a difference, but doing it in a very quiet, everyday way. And we are determined to celebrate every single one of them.
U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama recently hosted her last annual garden planting event at the White House. Students from nearby schools came over to help with planting, which is her last season before her husband leaves office early next year. The event brought back some of the children who originally helped the First Lady create the garden 7 years ago. The students, now in high school, assisted the other children as they planted several garden beds with various vegetables.
But I want to take this time to thank all the kids here and all the kids around the country who've been a part of this garden. This is my baby. And hopefully this will not be the last planting. Hopefully there will be other administrations who come in and they take up this project and continue to make this a part of the White House tradition.
Among the guests at the White House was NASA astronaut Cady Coleman, who planted a bed of Chinese cabbage, which will be taken to the International Space Station. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry recently moved to defend Russia's efforts in ending hostilities in the Middle East.
And in the case of President Putin, he says that he is prepared to be part of the solution with respect to Syria. Now, everybody doubted whether Russia would play any constructive role whatsoever with respect to the cessation of hostilities.
Ahead of a new round of negotiations in Geneva, Kerry reiterated his belief that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad will ultimately need to step down in order for peace to be achieved.
The war will not come to a complete ending, closure, if Assad, against the wishes of the opposition, unless there's some agreement that I'm not aware of that gets reached with the opposition somewhere in time, you can't end the war. Because the opposition will not end fighting because of what he is deemed to have done to their people, to the people of his country. And the opposition is a determined opposition that has survived even the Russian bombing and even the toughest onslaught of Assad for 5 years. They're not going to suddenly disappear.
Former NBA player Yao Ming, who was recently selected for the Basketball Hall of Fame alongside Shaquille O'Neal and Allen Iverson, said he is considering setting up a Hall of Fame for China sports. As an A-list sporting icon, Yao Ming opened up China to the NBA. In his 9 seasons with the Houston Rockets, he finished his career as an 8-time All-Star and averaged 19 points and 9.2 rebounds in 486 games after being picked number 1 in the 2002 NBA draft. Firstly, I'm very grateful for such a high honor awarded by the committee of the U.S. Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, Yao told reporters in Beijing. I didn't expect that. I dared not expect too much. I was also very shocked. I still want to express my deep appreciation. As for a deeper meaning of the award, actually I have always hoped that someday China can establish its own sports Hall of Fame. He went on to comment on other athletes like Shaquille O'Neal and Allen Iverson, saying, "Basketball is great because of them. The value of basketball comes from the players and teams who are the real heroes of the basketball court. People may have forgotten that Kobe Bryant will just have a couple of games before his retirement. He will definitely be a member of the Hall of Fame in 4 years."
Guys, we have to take another quick break now, but when we get back, I'll share today's trivia question. And it's time for trivia. We're going to literature for today's question. Who wrote that very famous book, Cry the Beloved Country? Somebody's like, yes, that book. That's very one.
My name is Toby, and I'm a photographer at TCD.
The MontyOaks.com exclusive.
Photography for me was more of like a progressive transition. Originally, I used to do a whole lot of designs and web designs, graphic design, and things like that. So along the line, I needed to get pictures, and I thought I'd shoot my own pictures and then use them for my design, and But originally, I had a bit of background in arts as well. It's a bit of crafting and then molding up things and doing a couple of things that are art related. And it wasn't really quite difficult to say, okay, fine, you'd move on to photography or do anything that's creative along the line. I get my inspiration from people around me, from the environment, the culture, different places that I travel to as well. And sometimes you get inspired by other people's work because, no matter what, you still have to look at what other people are, busy doing with themselves. And majority of the time, you might get 1 or 2 inspirations from these things. When I started, there wasn't really a whole lot of challenges until I moved down to Nigeria, and then the electricity, and then getting people to accept what you do and getting people to value what you do as well were the main challenges, because a whole lot of people just look at you and be like, oh yeah, you're a photographer, okay, so do you have any other job? Because they don't see it as a job. The challenges are just 1 or 2, and then I think electricity, power is the ultimate challenge as well.
The MontyOaks.com exclusive.
The more people get enlightened, the more they try to accept it. And then of course, when they see your paycheck, they're like, oh, so you can just take pictures and then be cashing out So in a way, people accept things when they see and then they learn about it. And then they see their peers, or maybe they see that you're doing good in a way. It might not be like very well, but at least you're making progress. And then they feel like, they would accept and maybe, support your dream or your like movement and everything. All right, I'd say the best piece of advice would be to improve on whatever I've started, and then to actually try and remain relevant as well, and also to find a way to do old things in a new way. The worst piece of advice would be to cut your hair. Like cut your hair, I'm like, that would like be a decision that I would, have to make by myself. Right now, I can't really say there is an high point, or there is a high point. Reason being, it's more of like the best is yet to come. So every time could be, or any time could be the high point for other people. But for me, I don't think I've reached that point yet. I mean, the high point would probably be to get invited by Obama to, cover his daughter's wedding or just take some official pictures. I mean, things like that, basically, that would probably never really happen on a normal day, but it can happen. I mean, like my friend Bayomo Boriowo is like the photographer to the president, and he can say that's like the high point of his own career. So for me, I don't think I've really gotten to that point yet, but it's like a progressive state. Would be to like educate younger people on how to be self-sufficient, give them trainings as well, workshops, school them, and then another would be to start up like a photography empire where people can come, learn, take pictures, do other things that are photography related, or even like a media parastatal as well. To anybody that wants to be a photographer, I would say you should train yourself, get to understand what you are going to be getting yourself into, and then you should understand the business part as well, because your passion is just your passion, and there is more to talent than just being talented. So you need to understand how to convert your passion and then your talent into like a money-making business.
Earlier on, I asked if you knew who wrote the book Cry the Beloved Country. The book was written by Alan Paton and it is set in South Africa. I think I might have been about 10 or 11 when I read that book, and there's a sense of it that still stays with me. But I think I want to read it again, and if you haven't read it, you must. It is a brilliant, brilliant book. We're about to take another quick break. Now, when we get back, Africa Explored.
Successful business tips on the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Starting and running a business requires that the business owner possess tolerance for failure. They should not be easily discouraged.
We're still island hopping on Africa Explored, so why don't you see where our plane takes us to today? Tucked away in the Gulf of Guinea, Sao Tome and Principe is one of Africa's smallest countries and thought to be one of the continent's most beautiful islands. In the manner of many other cities in Africa with colonial influences, Sao Tome displays a mix of African and Portuguese culture. This mix can best be seen in the old plantations formerly inhabited by the Portuguese, but now mostly used as cozy hotels. A foodie heaven, it boasts abundant seafood, fresh fruit, and gourmet chocolates. Sao Tome has diving and snorkeling for the high-energy tourists and fishermen's villages to explore for those who want a more laid-back experience. You can also go trekking in the Obo National Park or visit the Sao Tome National Museum, housed in a fort that was built in 1575. If you want high activity at a frenetic pace, this is probably not the place for you. But if you fancy a location with the feel of a deserted Southern Pacific island, go on and book a ticket for Sao Tome.
Young Nigerians returning home from studies abroad are in no small way blazing the trail when it comes to startup businesses that are servicing the country's growing middle class. The duo of Ngozi and Chijioke Dozie recently towed the same path with the setting up of a coffee shop in the commercial city of Lagos, the first of its kind. The coffee shop, which is called Cafe Neo, opened its doors in 2011 and has recorded a great deal of success and has since opened 2 other outlets around the city. The brothers discovered the gap in the beverage market when they attempted to expand their coffee trade from Rwanda to Nigeria.
We actually made an investment in coffee in Rwanda initially, and in trying to sell more coffee in Nigeria, we actually discovered that there were no coffee houses here. So we tried to sell to the hotels, other hospitality joints, and when we saw that there was a market on opportunity, we actually decided to set up Cafe Neo.
According to a report by investment bank Renaissance Capital, Nigeria's middle class constitutes about 23% of the population and earn around 80,000 to 100,000 naira per month, and this niche makes up the business primary market. With $100,000 invested in coffee chain, the founders faced several hurdles, primary amongst them Nigeria's perception to coffee drinking and the cost of transporting the coffee beans.
Currently we get our coffee from Rwanda, but ultimately we see, the goal is it's an African brand and we're going to be serving the best of African coffee, Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya. We actually tried some Nigerian coffee about a month ago. It's actually fantastic coffee from Tinapa State, the Mambila Plateau. It's more expensive because the logistics in bringing it here are actually more expensive than getting it from Rwanda, and this is another challenge that we face.
Ben Iorda, a marketing consultant who is a regular at the cafe, affirmed that the coffee chain is a great addition to the food and dining experience in the city.
I think it's different. I think it's one of the things that is needed, especially in Lagos, in a place where there's hustle and bustle and noise everywhere. You just want some places where there's calm, there's a certain type of community of people who come here, and great coffee.
And now guys, how about we take out some time to keep calm? I'm all about celebrating the very best of people. When people are doing an amazing job, when people look amazingly good, when people do nice things for other people, I think they should be celebrated. I know many times, we don't really want to talk because what if we're not received properly, What if the person doesn't respond properly? But I think that you gain more than you lose when you celebrate someone genuinely for doing what they're doing and for doing an awesome job. Now, if you see people, I'm thinking in the rest of the week, somebody doing a great job, somebody looking especially nice, somebody who's just helped somebody else, celebrate them, let them know how good their behavior is, and you encourage them to be even better next time. Keep calm and celebrate awesomeness. It's time to head home, guys. We've had an amazing show as always, and we need to go prepare you more positive, progressive stuff for tomorrow. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. Remember to check out our social media pages, drop your comments, drop your perspectives, and let's share them with the rest of the continent. You have a wonderful day now, and bye-bye.
Forgive me, Father, but I gotta take a chance. Oh, I'm already gone, so just pray for me. Pray, find my way.
EO Reports was brought to you by Heritage Bank.